All right, go Tom.
Welcome to Been There, Watch That, your favorite movie and TV reviewers. I'm Justin. I'm here as always with Joe and Dave. Joe maintains our website,
Woohoo!
BeenThereWatchThat.com. Go check that out. You can see our different scores we gave for all the past episodes. And make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. BTWT Pod is how you find us on there. And reach out to us. We'd like to hear any recommendations you have, movies that you love that maybe we've never heard of, and let us know. We'll review. We skip around a little bit to different time periods. We had Animal House, which was late 70s. We've done some 80s with Mad Max, 90s, Home Alone. Some more recent movies lately. Rocket Man was a 2019 flick. Kind of a feel-good flick. We kept that theme going with Begin Again as 2014. And with Joe's pick this week, kind of sticking to that same theme, I think. This was a feel-good movie for me, The Peanut Butter Falcon, starring Shia LaBeouf.
All right, guys, so before we start, for those of you that are new to our podcast, please go back and listen to, I don't remember the episode number, but it's labeled Howard the Duck. That was my last pick.
Nobody should ever have to go listen to or even see or think about
Episode
Howard
number
the Duck.
7.
Oh, okay, thank
That's
you,
all I'm
Justin.
saying.
Yep.
Just say no.
Okay.
Ignore everything he just said.
No, I didn't say they had to go watch the movie. I just said listen to our podcast. Yes, ignore that last statement for
gosh.
Dave. Listen to our podcast.
Oh, gosh.
That was a feel-bad movie.
Yeah.
For Dave. Not a feel-good
I don't even know why we got to keep bringing it up. I'll be
Okay,
honest with
now,
you.
now let me complete this thought, Dave, and you'll see why.
That's the movie that shall not ever be named.
So Dave threatened, and Justin actually was like, Justin didn't fully have my back on that one. It was like, but he also didn't put me up for the slaughter. So
Yeah.
I got to give Justin credit on that. He didn't completely throw me under the bus, but Dave did everything but
Oh, gosh.
hang me in front of the courthouse square.
Justin's younger and politer than me. That's why. He's a well-mannered fella.
Yeah.
So Dave said that if I picked another stinker like that, that I would be banished from any choices from here on out. So Dave, not asking for full-on, rating yet, but have I at least redeemed myself with this choice?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's a hard yes, because you could pretty much pick just about anything, and it'd been redeemable with Howard the Duck.
Even Richard Simmons sweating to the oldies.
I'm guessing so, yes. Because at least I'd probably got a little workout in with Richard Simmons and been like, you know what, not a complete loss.
Wow.
I will say the title with this one always throws people.
Yeah,
When I told my dad what we were reviewing this week, he asked what about 3 times. I had to say it really slowly. Falcon.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did your dad think of it? Because
He liked it.
Did
he
he?
liked it more than I thought he would. He was on board. He gave it well, I'll save that to the end. His rating.
Okay.
He liked it.
I like that we got a fourth person in here without actually having a fourth person in.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, because I know.
We're getting outside ratings now, which
Right.
adds another generation because your dad's older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're getting 4 generations roughly of.
Yep.
Right, and it was really
Mhm.
interesting because with Rocket Man, your
Rocket
dad lived through
Man.
that. So, he got to
Rocket Man.
literally see it all play out
Yeah,
and then go back and watch it.
Yeah,
So-
there would be a party scene where people were wearing insane looking clothing and sunglasses and stuff, and I was giving him a hard time, like, "Gee, you used to wear those
Oh,
type
yeah.
of clothes?" He was like, yeah.
He's like, heck yeah. I
Yeah,
rocked
yeah.
it, man. I rocked it.
You used to have some sunglasses like Elton John? No, not quite, but
Something similar?
yeah.
Or something he's claiming he didn't have until you find pictures. to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
otherwise.
This picture says otherwise, Dad. All right, so Peanut Butter Falcon.
All right, so
Give us a rundown, Joe.
the synopsis. After running away from a residential nursing home to pursue his dream of becoming a pro wrestler, a man who has Down syndrome befriends an outlaw who becomes his coach and ally.
So the little caveat here is that he's in a nursing home because they couldn't really have a place for him because he didn't have any family.
Right.
So he was stuck in the middle.
He was awarded to the state.
Yeah, and stuck in the middle. So he went to a nursing home, and he had a buddy that was, that he roomed with, and he was there for a couple years. And Dakota Johnson was kind of his caretaker. She took an interest in him, and they were friends. And
This is all set in almost looks like deep south, but it's
Yeah.
in North Carolina, but it's definitely like a fishing sort of
Yeah,
community,
yeah.
coastal, a lot of boats and just
Yeah,
kind of
waterways.
looking areas.
Yeah. So kind of funny. So
do we want to hit the cast real quick?
yeah, might as well.
Okay.
Go ahead. How about it?
So making his debut is Zack, and Zack, please forgive me for botching your name. Gottsagen
Or Gottsagen.
or Gottsagen. Okay,
Yeah.
and Zack, I do apologize.
Gottsagen.
up front.
Gottsagen probably is more appropriate because I'm
Gottsagen.
terrible at that. But
Okay.
spelled Gottsagen. But,
Yeah. Zack, we completely apologize for botching your last name. But Zack plays Zack, the young man with Down syndrome who is dreaming to become a professional wrestler. Dakota Johnson plays Eleanor, the social worker. She's been in the 50 Shades of Grey movies and The Social Network. And Bruce Dern.
Hold on. She's in the Social Network?
Yeah.
What's her role there?
I don't remember. I have to look it up.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, my dad was familiar with Bruce Dern. He's like, my gosh, he's got to be 80 years old by now. He's one of the older guys in the nursing home that helps Zack escape.
Yeah, he's Zack's roommate. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one movie I remember him in particular being on was Down Periscope from the 90s. As soon as I seen it goes, hey, that's the guy from Down Periscope. I was like, it is. It's one of those, I'd seen him before, but I couldn't place it. And then she goes, that's Down Periscope. I was like, yep, that's where he was. And Shia LaBeouf plays Tyler. He's on Transformers. And Thomas Hayden Church played the wrestler Saltwater Redneck. And his claim to fame was in Tombstone. And we have John Bernthal played Mark. And if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, he was in The Walking Dead and The Wolf of Wall Street. And if you are a fan of professional wrestling, a couple of wrestling legends make an appearance. Mick Foley played the referee. He was on 30 Rock as well as professional wrestling and Boy Meets World, Saturday Night Live, and is actually a 2-time New York Times bestseller. And then Jake Roberts, also known as Jake the Snake Roberts, plays Sam the wrestler.
He's like the huge guy. He's like 7 foot tall. Looks like he just towers over everybody else.
Yeah.
I was wondering if he looked like he could get in the ring. The guy was mean looking.
Yeah. Jake Roberts.
Jake the Snake. He brought like a cobra into the ring.
Yeah, he used to have a
day.
big boa constrictor
Or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it bit him like at one point.
Yeah. There's a
Attached
funny
to his
story. Jake tells that when he was wrestling, he had to take that snake everywhere. Like, it was his responsibility.
Into hotels and stuff.
Yeah, so he took it into a hotel room one night, and they told him, said, take it to the bathroom, put some water in the tub, don't get it too hot, don't get it too cold, just leave it in there, and you're good. And Jake goes, what happens if it gets out? Lock the door. Don't let it get out.
Yeah, there you go.
So he's laying in bed about 2 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden, there's water everywhere. He wakes up and there's water everywhere. And all of a sudden, you just hear this just explosion in the bathroom. The boa constrictor had climbed up the wall to the shower head. And when it did, it turned the hot water onto the shower. So then that snake started scolding itself and jumped and basically flew off of the wall onto the bathroom vanity and broke the vanity.
Oh, wow.
So he calls down the front desk and goes, hey, there's a snake in my room and it's broke the vanity. And the front desk going, yeah, all right, buddy, quit drinking and go to sleep.
Yeah. That's funny.
So then when they start getting calls of the room underneath them getting a water leak, they go up and go, there's a snake in your bathroom. He goes, really? I didn't know that. But Jake is also, besides being a wrestler, he was also in Boy Meets World and actually was in a biopic documentary, The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. Have any of you guys seen that?
No.
That one is...
I'll be honest with you. I watched until just now. I didn't even know he was Jake Snake. I don't watch pro wrestling.
Well, the documentary Resurrection of Jake the Snake follows him down from coming from fighting his years and years of drug and alcohol abuse. And I mean, it is raw. It is. You see the good, bad, and the ugly of it. So I'm kind of saving that one as a pick later on. It's not a wrestling movie. Just because he's a wrestler, it's not a wrestling movie. It's a documentary on how he went from booze and drugs to clean and sober. I mean, it's a great documentary if anybody ever gets a chance to view it.
Nice. Okay. Interesting stuff. Well, I got to say, this was a really good movie. It had a lot of different aspects to it. So you have the general, scoundrel turns good guy for the most part. You have Down syndrome gentleman that makes his debut and does an outstanding job.
And basically trying to fight for the American dream to to live his lifelong dream of being a professional wrestler.
Yeah, and then you have Dakota Johnson, who I thought fit the role perfect. So let me put it this way: I felt like all the actors in this movie were cast extremely well.
Yes,
because there's a lot of times I watch movies and I'm like, just not the right person. Like if you've seen Hunger Games, Jennifer Lawrence is a great actress, no doubts about it. But I just didn't feel like she was wiry or athletic enough for Hunger Games to be real.
Right.
And then the other one where they're in Chicago and they have the 4 or 5 different cadres of people. Amnesty, not Darkness. What do they call those people? Anyway, the female lead in that one I didn't think was very good either.
And what surprised me,
but this was cast really well.
Yeah, the casting are all well-known actors and actresses.
Yeah.
But your star, Zack,
his debut.
Is his debut.
And he knocked it out of the park.
And we weren't bashed over the head with the quote-unquote A-listers or the people that's in all the movies. This was a well-cast movie that you just weren't hit over the head with superstars.
Right. Now, the one thing I will say, they almost cast Ben Foster in Shia LaBeouf's role, and I think that would have been a good move as well. Now, I really like Shia LaBeouf. He's troubled, whatever, but man, he did a good job in this movie. He fit the part.
Yes.
But I think Ben Foster would have fitted as well.
Yeah, couldn't go wrong either way.
Yeah, I think both of those would have been home runs. So Shia LaBeouf did a great job. This was his kind of deal, kind of a messed up guy that, has a good heart. All right, so what was the most poignant part for you guys? I have a part that just really tickled me and reminded me, and I'll tell you another little parable that I experienced with my family. But what was the most... yeah, Joe knows this one. So, Justin, what was the most poignant part for you?
For me, is Shia LaBeouf's character and Zack. They're basically out there traveling the road and trying to get to this wrestling school, which is... finding all different ways to get there, but they're just hanging out on the beach one night and talking, kind of getting to know each other and
drinking.
Yeah, and Shia asked him, in terms of wrestling, what his character, what is going to be, a good guy or a bad guy, and Zack is saying, well, I have to be a bad guy, and he's saying basically he's been kind of told his whole life that he could never be a hero because of his special needs and stuff,
and he didn't have any family, so he's a bad guy.
Yeah, that he could never be that. He wouldn't fit in there.
And
I thought that was a nice moment because it also kind of reflects on Shia because he asks him back, like, are you a good guy or a bad guy? And he's got all sorts of, like, demons and issues because basically it shows through, like, flashbacks that he basically caused his brother's death because he fell asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, drunk driving.
So he's probably spent years just beating himself up thinking that he's a bad person, but the two of them are having this conversation and starting to talk about, we can both be good guys. We don't.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Joe?
The little key part on mine was when Thomas Church's character actually shows up in the car as a saltwater redneck. It kind of shows that, it's been established that at this point he's kind of a washed up has-been.
Oh, yeah.
That I'm not this character anymore, that I'm done with that, but yet, even though this young man shows up that still wants to be a professional wrestler, he's willing to go, I'm willing to break out that character one more time just to help this young man achieve his dream. And so that was kind of the feel-good moment.
Nice. Well, mine was when they first get together and they establish they're going to partner up, and they're walking through the cornfield, and he gives him boots, at this point. He gave him shorts at first, then shirt, then shorts, then boots. And he's like, all right, so, rule number 1, don't hold me up, don't slow me down. And he walks across through there, and they're like, all right, Zack, rule number 1, because he's slowing him down. And he's like, party? And I was just like, that's the best thing ever. And just that little tidbit here, that was ad-libbed by Zack.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't.
Yeah, he came up with that. And you can kind of tell that because at first when I watched the movie again, I was like, he pauses for such a long time. He didn't know his line or didn't know what it was supposed to be. And he's like, party. And threw it out there at the end, and it worked out like
he's
magic.
got so many like great funny lines throughout the movie. Just his timing is good and the way he says stuff.
Yeah.
And, there's another point because they're like they need to get some supplies, and he escapes from the nursing home just in his underwear.
So hold on. So let's talk about that for a second. How would that possibly go down? I'm a little disappointed in his older roommate buddy because he's like, hey, rub this soap on you and you'll squeeze through.
Yeah.
Why would he not throw his clothes out to him?
Right.
Or why would he not think, hey, I'm going to need some clothes, at least shoes, because I'm going on this adventure, and throw all the stuff out the window. Instead, he just sneaks out in his tighty whities and is gone.
Yeah, he asks him, do you have any money? He's like, I do not have any money, and I do not have pockets.
Yeah.
He's in his underwear.
Yeah. It amazed me
Just
that he's
a
like,
funny
hey,
line that he
you got any money? He's like, huh.
He's like, oh, well, here's some shorts. He's giving him more
Yeah.
clothes. He's like, well, you can wear this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
when
now,
they first meet, he's just in his tiny whities.
I do not have any pockets.
in Zach's defense, though, his goal is to get out of there and just go.
Yeah, but
So,
still,
okay,
shoes,
now-
clothes, come on.
Yeah, but now think about it, Dave. If you're in prison, you're going to escape from prison. Are you going to pack a bag and get your bag ready, or are you just going to book it?
If I'm wanting to be gone for the long term, yeah, I'm going to take a bag and some shoes.
Yeah, but that's the stuff that's going to slow you up.
You know what's funny? I don't think so. I don't go anywhere barefoot. But the funny part was, if you watch him, he rubs the soap on his face.
Yeah.
That's
As
where he
if-
starts, yeah.
Yeah, like to get through the bars, as if his face is going to have trouble getting through.
Because
Yeah.
he escapes at the very beginning. He escapes, tries to run away once, and
Yeah,
so
they
they
tag
put him
on.
back in and put these metal bars on his windows
Yeah.
at the place.
And his roommate's an engineer, so yeah, he helped him torque the bars. But
But I like how he convinced the lady, like, I'll give you a pudding cup if you
Yeah,
help me
yeah.
escape.
yeah, here's our plan. So
Well,
yeah,
how'd you guys hear about the movie, or just come across it randomly? Because I'd seen previews for it, and I thought, that could be good, and I don't know. It exceeded my expectations.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
watched
I
it.
saw it online, and it's like, oh, that looks like it might be good. So I was like,
Yeah.
I have to sit down and watch that. And I sat down and watched it and just fell in love with it.
and it was actually one of the best movies of 2019.
Yeah,
Came in as a sleeper.
but it didn't win any
Yeah.
Academy Awards or anything like that.
Yeah,
It
kind
didn't
of crazy.
get a single nomination, which surprised me.
Yeah, it is surprising, but Shia LaBeouf's kind of a scoundrel in real life, I guess. So, but anyway,
Well, one thing that maybe it's a bit of a nitpick, but basically the two of them are out on the lam, trying to escape. One trying to escape the nursing home, and Dakota's Eleanor, his
caretaker, yeah.
She's trying to find him, trying to track him down. But then there's also these two bad guys that are trying to track down Tyler, Shia LaBeouf's character. And so sometimes I thought I found it kind of pretty unbelievable that they kept like on their trail somehow. Like they
Well, if
Yeah,
you
that's
if you
what-
hold on,
they
if you
find a
looked at the map
campfire.
though,
They
you-
find a campfire that they just in the middle of nowhere. They track him down.
if you look at the map though, they were on a strip of inlet,
Yeah, that's true.
so they really couldn't go off of that, so they had to be
Still,
somewhere.
You just go somewhere randomly out in the woods, and then someone is able to like sniff you down somehow.
It's a little.
It's a little unrealistic.
I found it plausible though, because
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right
when
about
Shia
that.
looked at the map, he's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, we got to cut down this inlet, and we're going to stay right here." So there's only one road that went down
Yeah,
through
it's
there.
like the Outer Banks, basically.
Yeah, and there's only one road that went, and he's like, we'll just cut her across here, and a couple of places where they had to cross, through the lagoon or whatever, they had to make a boat. They used a boat, so they were in that
Yeah,
narrow strip of land.
yeah.
Now I agree with you.
Well,
If they'd have been
so many
inland,
houses that they could have gone to, but then like Eleanor is able to like go to that same house that they went to with the blind man. Just
Yeah.
a little bit, but whatever.
I think that was just for comedy. But yeah, I mean, when I looked at the map, I was like, yeah, they're tracking because they have to go that way.
Yeah, but I'm kind of adjusting on that. When I was watching, I was like, yeah, what are the odds of them hitting that exact spot where the fire was
just
the
on a
night
beach,
before?
a
Yeah,
random part of the beach somewhere. It's like
and they knew that it was him. But now here's what I got a question about, guys. It's posed that those guys are the bad guys,
Right.
but
They're not really.
yeah, are they really? Because Tyler
Burned
burned up all their fishing
$12,000 worth of stuff and
Yeah.
stole her crab pots and
equipment.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the movie makes it look like they're the bad guys, but
Well, they're the bad guys because they took vigilante justice.
yeah, but are they really bad guys?
No, I agree with you. They're not, but I'm just saying in the movie that's kind of why.
Right.
There's some sort of like conflict because there's only so many fishing licenses, so
Yeah, they had 10 permits,
for
and
Tyler
one
to
of them got
be
turned over.
fishing might be technically illegal because he's always like, yeah. But yeah, there was a point where one of the quote unquote bad guys says, it's not. There's other people out here suffering too. It's not just you. Like,
Yeah.
You're hurting me when you like steal my crabs, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And destroy my equipment.
Yeah, you're stealing food off my table now.
Yeah.
Interesting deal. I really liked it. And, they had what I liked was it was a feel good drama mixed in with a lot of comedy, and kind of like some hidden gems.
Yeah.
So I really liked when they were, he was teaching him to shoot a shotgun.
Yeah.
First time he shot it threw him clear off his feet, which, here in West Virginia, any little kid learned to shoot a shotgun, that it jars you, or you see people have the little scope mark above their eye their first time shooting a rifle with a scope. That part was plausible. I was like, yep, seen that, been there. The kick of the gun is definitely a deal. And then when they had like the watermelon helmets on and, just those little moments where it seemed very real. You could tell that Shia and Zack had a relationship for real. Like they sold me on this is the real deal.
Yeah, I've seen some interviews where they're talking about, how much of a friendship they kind of created through this movie and how close they felt when they're on set working together. Because there's probably I'm sure some other scenes, like remember they're doing the whole, we're riding on the raft and they're like touching each other's faces, slapping each
just
other.
little,
that might have
bonding
been
moment.
improvised as well. It was just
Yeah,
something
I agree
they
with
came
that.
up
Yeah, it's one of those that they was just, being friends, and the camera just kind of caught this and was able
Because
to make it.
there's
part
like a
of the
certain
movie.
innocence to Zack. He's like, what's this? Because at first he's real standoffish. He's like, what's this guy doing? Why is he following me around? And he's just kind of like, maybe we could be friends. Maybe we could be like, hang out, do cool stuff, or whatever.
You're gonna be bros.
Yeah. He just has like this. He's not afraid to put himself out there and be like, hey, I want to have a friend, and eventually he comes around. It's kind of cool.
So now, Dave, is it now time for us
You're gonna circle back to that?
Yep.
So I have a whole different rule number one story. And we were at a college, and we're doing a soccer deal, and they had a football team down over the hill, and I'm staying with my kids, and they're pretty little. And the coach gets just mad. There's 80-some football players out there at this college, and the coach gets all mad, and he's like, you guys, we do all this stuff. He brings everybody to a stop, full field stop. And he's just screaming at him through a bullhorn. And he's like, we do all this stuff. We did film. We give you homework to do. We gave you the books to read, the playbooks and all this. And you guys show up out here and just waste our time, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, what's rule number one? And the whole team shouts, don't be a blank hole. And I saw, my kids turn and looked at each other and kind of like, did they really just say that? And the coach reiterates it. He's like, yeah, don't be a blank hole. And, and I was like, oh, boy. So in our household, the big joke was, rule number one. We changed it to don't be a jerk. But
So you're saying in Dave's household, rule number one is not party?
Yeah, it's not party. So it's so funny, though, because when that came out in the movie, what's rule number one? Party. I was telling you this story, so for your background information there, Justin, and for everybody listening, the story between Joe and I was like, man, I have a whole different rule number one in my house. I like party much better, although my kids are teenagers now, so maybe not. But, yeah. So it was a funny little relation I had to the movie. I was like, yeah, rule number one, party. But, it was an interesting deal. So after that, I had to be careful what I said in the car about rules, because they would all look and snicker at each other and be like, haha, we know what rule one is. Like, oh boy, way to go, college coach. Setting the example. Oh gosh. Anyway, a lot of funny stuff on this. I really like so the other one I like when he went in a store to get some supplies, and he's got his shotgun on his back, and the guy's like, hey, listen, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little nervous. You got not used to negotiating with a guy with a shotgun on his back. And he's like, oh, yeah, sorry, man. Completely innocent on his part. But I was like, a couple things. One, who pulls over and picks up a hitchhiker who has a shotgun on his back? And two, when does somebody with a shotgun on their back walk into a store?
Yep.
Right.
Now, I will say, full disclosure, I am not for the knuckleheads that bring their ARs and go into a store to prove a point that they can walk around with a rifle. I was thinking that when he walks in with a shotgun, I was like, yeah, I would never, walk into a store with a shotgun.
Right.
Now, he had it on his back. He wasn't carrying it, but, still, I just like, that's kind of crazy to think that that's okay.
Right.
But, he didn't notice it until the store owner's kind of like, hey, I'll be honest, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
That's when he picks up the jar of peanut butter, which will tie into
the ties in the movie, peanut butter. And that's when he first meets Dakota Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or Eleanor is her character.
Yeah. The store owner gives him a little swig of whiskey from
behind
the counter. I mean, this is like
He's like, you need this, you take it.
But what I found interesting is once he put the shotgun on the ground, and then the storekeeper felt more comfortable. I thought, how would you feel more comfortable with still, we can take it outside. Now, full disclosure, I have a carry and conceal permit.
Sure.
So, but I'm like you, Dave. I don't go walking around carrying a high power rifle because I can't.
Yeah.
I have carry conceal for my own personal protection.
Sure,
Not to just wave around and go, hey, look at me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just mean, you see a cat walking down the road with a backpack and a shotgun, I'm not pulling over to get him.
No, that's
but this dude in the truck does. And I was like,
that's just West Virginia living 101. It's like, you don't pull over unless you have a bigger gun.
Yeah. So this was the highest grossing independent film of 2019.
Yeah, which is crazy to think. As well as it did not gain as much,
popularity
as it did.
I think it is now, though. It's people are people are cooped up because of COVID, going back through cycling through movies.
I think there are two guys that were the directors or producers on this one, and they actually met Zack like a couple of years before at some sort of camp or something.
Yeah, met him at a camp and developed the script around him.
Yeah, like when they met him at that camp, he was like, I'm going to be in one of your guys' movies. And they're just kind of like, okay, I mean, that's a nice dream or whatever.
Yeah. And, it was interesting. Shia LaBeouf got arrested for public drunkenness during the movie set, and he came in the next day and he had a little comment about, I felt bad. I didn't want to look anybody in the eyes, but Zack just said, hey, it happens. Let's go,
Right.
Got him over it. Kind of been helping him a little bit, maybe, his personal life. So, a lot of interesting stuff there. The Rudderman Family Foundation honored the Peanut Butter Falcon for the seal of authentic representation for accurate depictions of people with disabilities. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, the story is about Zack, who has Down syndrome, but they cast him in a role where he was like a strong character, like he was able to, achieve his goal, that there was nothing going to stop him, that they didn't. And
they kind of had that scene out on the raft when Eleanor joined him. She was telling him, oh, be careful this, don't get too close. And Shia was like, no, don't do that. You're belittling him. Don't do that. He can take care of himself, And I thought it was so funny. I laughed out loud, for real, not just the LOL. When he's like, hey, let's train, put your head underwater and hold your breath. And you see the fish go by the first time, and then they both are like, we can have this conversation without him hearing. And so she tells him, okay, Zack, try it again. Go again. Or not Zack, or whatever.
Yeah. I told Zack.
Yeah, Zack, sorry. Mm-hmm. And so, he puts his head under the water again, and they're sitting there arguing with each other about, treating him with respect. And then he pops up with a fish.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
But that was a really good scene.
Did you catch that?
But it kind of shows that you don't have to coddle him. Look.
Yeah, and that was kind of the breaking scene for her, understanding that he wasn't this poor puppy that couldn't take care of himself, and Shia LaBeouf was training him to be an independent person. So kind of what he needed, what he wanted, versus her understanding of the situation.
Yeah.
And they didn't have any stunt doubles, so they swung off a rope on an oil rig.
Yeah, that's what was crazy.
They all did their own jumps and stuff. That's pretty cool.
There was some sort of wire work or something when the shotgun made him fly back about 10 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when he threw Sam out of the ring, you knew that there was...
Yeah, that was fake. I wish... That's the one part I wish they'd have done better.
Yeah, me too, because it was like...
I mean...
It was one of those, it was a little over...
Yeah. Have you seen Rocky 3? You guys know Rocky 3?
I've not seen it. I know what you're talking about, but I've not
watched it.
What
in the world?
This is why we're doing this podcast, Dave, to further our movie
education. The youth.
Oh, boy. Anyway, so Rocky 3, he's a world champion boxer, obviously, and he does a scene, he does a fundraising deal with Hulk Hogan but Hulk Hogan's character's Sugar Lips, in this movie. And so they do this little fundraiser thing, and Hulk Hogan just goes berserk on him. And he picks up Rocky and throws him out of the ring, throws him like 5 rows deep, just like you would in professional wrestling. But Rocky's really small compared to Hulk Hogan, so it's plausible.
Right.
And then he has, Paulie cut his gloves off. He gets back in there, and he's starting to take it serious, and he's, getting his shots in, making the comeback. And then he picks up Hulk Hogan and gets him over his head. But it was real because, like, he barely got him up over his head, and he struggles, takes a couple of steps to the side of the ropes, and then just barely dumps him over the ropes. And you're like, that's, yes. Hulk Hogan would pick his squirrely butt up and would throw him 5 rows deep.
Right.
But if Rocky were to try to pick up Hulk Hogan, there's like a 200-pound difference there.
Right.
He would, barely get him up there and then just barely dump him over.
Right.
And I was like, that's such a good scene because it was real.
Right.
And then when I saw this, it took me right back to there, and I was like, no. I mean, yeah,
it was
pick him
fantasy.
up maybe, but, you're not going to throw him 10 feet
that
out of the
deep.
ring.
Well, the atomic throw, they call it, because he's watching one of Saltwater's
videos.
Redneck's videos and then he's like, he met him in real life. He's like, no, that wasn't. He wanted to learn the atomic
he
throw.
wanted to learn
He's
it.
like, honestly, that wasn't a real thing. It's impossible to do.
Yeah, it was all camera angles and.
So there's a little bit of a fantasy there with the way he threw him out.
Well, that's what I mean. I wish they'd have followed the Rocky 3 script and had Zack just barely get the guy up and just kind of like dump him over the rope really sloppily.
Right.
And then been like, yes, he got the move in, but it was real.
Well, I mean, they could even just done it where he didn't want struggling, that he actually just dumped him outside of the ring, but throwing him deep is where I was like,
yeah, he kind of floated really high.
Yeah.
And it was weird. Yeah. You could tell it's fake.
You're saying deep. I was like, I would buy it, like you said, if you did the Rocky where he just kind of dumbled over. I'd even buy it if he just threw him outside the ring, but throwing him high and deep is like,
and that and the shotgun scene were both like deliberately exaggerated.
Yeah, the shotgun scene was, but it wasn't as obvious.
Right.
But,
I mean, I knew because I've seen it in real life that you're not going to fly back 10 feet.
Yeah.
But I let it go. But the ring one, I'm like, nah, you guys messed up. That was the only real flaw I saw that I didn't like.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah, that one kind of took me out for just a few
I did
seconds.
read one review, someone saying that they thought that the two quote unquote bad guys that are chasing them the whole time maybe were not quite necessary to the movie, and I kind of agreed with that. I think it could have been that whole element of the bad guys chasing them could have.
Well, yeah, Shia had to be on the run too.
Right.
That kind of put them together. They're both on the run.
Because
remember he said that after he met Dakota Fanning not Dakota Johnson in the store, and she showed him the picture. He came back. He's like, "Man, you got some cred now because you're on the run. You're on the lam. You're a tricky guy. We're buddies now because that, we're both on the run."
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things where maybe, you can't take a piece out without it kind of making other parts not make sense as much.
Yeah, a little bit anyway.
Yeah.
And it kind of made Shia LaBeouf's character a scoundrel.
Yeah, true.
Leave
it in.
And it gave Zack a chance to be the hero because when they caught him and they set their makeshift raft on fire, and they were going to shoot him, he was just going to shoot him, in the hand. He's going to shoot him, pick a hand, shoot him in the hand in the middle of the night, and Zack comes out with a shotgun because he taught him how to shoot.
Yep.
So Zack got the chance to be the hero, and I felt like that kind of solidified his wrestling character was going to be a hero,
Right.
because he was the hero at that point.
Right.
In real life, and he's like, yeah, I am the good guy. So
here's something I found interesting. At the end, after Tyler takes the tire iron to the head, it was suggested by executives that Tyler not be in the back seat of the car at the end of the movie.
Executives are such knuckleheads. I wonder how many movies have been ruined because of executives.
Well, Howard the Duck at least. I had to get it in there.
I agree 100%. That is 100% accurate.
So they was that they was going to indicate that Tyler didn't survive.
Right.
That. But the directors immediately dismissed the idea and said, no, we're going to end with a good, happy ending where they're all together.
Yeah, and that was a good ending.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious how a scoundrel, with a Down syndrome person and a lady, they build their own family and they go down to Florida and make it with nothing.
Yeah, maybe she's got some money saved up.
I hope so.
Yeah, you do kind of find it interesting. If you just look at the surface, you have a young man with Down syndrome escaping an old folks' home, a social worker and a scoundrel.
Mm-hmm.
And you just look at that and goes, how's that possibly a movie?
Yeah, that's going to be a rough deal, but I mean, yeah.
But it plays out so well.
It does.
And at the end, they all become heroes.
That very end part, though, you wonder. I mean, obviously, legally, Eleanor wouldn't be able to just basically kidnap Zack and leave.
He's a ward to the state, so it might not matter. They probably didn't care.
Yeah, just the paperwork, though. Well, that would feel like you can't just have someone disappear.
As far as they know, he disappeared. So,
but
who's going to be looking? He didn't have any family.
No, she called back and told her boss that she found him.
Yeah, I just mean,
but
there isn't any family members going to be trying to track that guy down.
But it's highly possible that the movie didn't cover this, but it's highly possible that she went back and just said, "I quit my job. Oh, by the way, I want custody of." Zack and jump through the hoops.
I guess.
It's highly plausible.
Yeah, it's plausible. I agree. Interesting. Okay.
Budget talk is around $6 million, I believe, is what I read.
Really? That's not bad.
It made like 130 some million.
Well, it's an independent film, so yeah.
Yep. That's a pretty good return.
That is a very good return.
Yes, highest.
And I think it'll just keep gaining popularity.
Yeah, I mean, the movie itself is completely opposite of what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Because you think, okay...
and I think that was mentioned, right? But follow up on that thought, Joe.
So, you read it as this young man has Down syndrome, wants to become a professional wrestler. Immediately, biggest majority of people are going to turn it off going, I don't want to watch that fake wrestling stuff. Professional wrestling, it's all scripted, blah, 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 blah. I'm not into that. It plays a key role in the movie, but it's not what you think it is.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that, Justin, the Peanut Butter Falcon name was hard for your dad to grasp.
Yeah.
Because it's just so weird. Peanut Butter Falcon.
It's just,
You can't tell if it's a spoof. What kind of movie is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of out of left field. Mm-hmm. And then once you start reading the story and actually start watching, it's like, okay, it's more of an adventure than...
Yeah.
Well, they call it like like a Mark Twain-esque story.
Yes.
That it's getting on a raft together and going down, basically escaping some of your troubles, leaving them behind, and going on an adventure together, sort of thing.
Right. So, you said your dad watches, so what was your dad's overall thought of Peanut Butter Falcon?
I was surprised. He was laughing a lot throughout. Even the part he said you guys had a little issue with, he was laughing with seeing Jake the Snake fly out of the ring. He thought that was pretty funny. So I was like, well, 4 out of 5, what did he give it? He gave it a 4.
Really? So he gave it a large popcorn.
Yep. Large popcorn.
Nice.
The whole movie, I mean, it totally hinges on Zack. He carries the whole movie, basically. Yeah. It doesn't make sense without him in there. It's not the same movie without it. So.
Yeah, and I agree, and he played that role to the hilt.
Yeah.
He did a fantastic job.
Because, in some ways, like, someone might raise their eyebrow about, like, kind of laughing at the way that he, like, said certain things, but it's not like you're laughing at him. He's just, like, a funny guy, but obviously he talks a little bit differently than other people.
Yeah, just the situation was funny. Yeah. It had no
but that's a
bearing on looking down on
fine line that they kind of walk there, that maybe you do the movie wrong, that could come off as you're basically making fun of this kid. It could come off the wrong way if you didn't do it right.
Yeah, and I think they did it right. Yeah. And it's got a bigger background, feel good story. This film probably wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Josh Brolin. So at the end of 2015, Josh Brolin announced via Instagram that his New Year's resolution was to help people. And at this point, Nielsen and Schwartz had a script, but they couldn't get anyone to read it. And on a whim, Brolin agreed to be the person that would read it and kind of turned that pie in the sky idea into a legitimate movie project. And actually, he was going to be the famous saltwater guy, but then he got cast in Deadpool 2 and dropped it back out.
Yep.
So, yeah, pretty neat deal. I mean, almost didn't happen. Has a real good character. Represents what it should. So it turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, the star of the movie, this is his Hollywood debut.
Debut.
And knocked it out of the park.
If he has another movie come out, I'll definitely watch it, I think.
Just because of that, yeah.
Just him, yeah. I think you throw him into any sort. It'd be funny in any sort of
And
story, really.
Yeah.
now I like Shia LaBeouf. I liked him in Fury and a couple other movies. He did Holes, obviously, when he's a little guy. You know, great actor. Very,
Well, he's got another one where he plays his dad.
yeah, Honey Boy.
Yeah, did you see that one?
Yeah,
Yeah, that one's pretty dark, but
it is dark. And it explains a lot of why he has some issues. But I just, you know, I liked him cast in this role. And Dakota Johnson, I think this is probably her best role ever. It fit her.
Yep.
She is kind of that
She has
quiet,
some funny
soft-spoken.
moments too. You know,
Yeah.
like with Shia LaBeouf kind of hitting on her, and she just like flips him off at some point.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kinda
She's walking back
funny,
out because
yeah.
you didn't expect it at all because she's this quiet, soft-spoken social worker, cares about everybody, and then he asks for a number and she walks out the store and, oh yeah, by the way, take one of those.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's why I thought the cast was on the money, and I thought the actors did an outstanding job.
A lot of funny parts without it trying to be jokey or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just
Natural.
yeah.
Well, and
you
the
didn't
s-
see things coming that were really funny.
And I liked how the story progressed. It wasn't too fast,
Yep.
and it didn't drag on forever.
Hey, you had some explosions in there for you, Joe.
Yeah. I was
They
wondering.
they
if
set
he's
some stuff on fire for you.
gonna- Yeah, I was going to say. I was wondering if he's going to say something about the
Oh, yeah.
explosions.
There were some
But-
gunshots,
Yeah, but there wasn't major explosions, so you got to give me a little credit there, Dave.
just enough to keep you interested, Joe.
Yeah, but
Some
the
boat
explosions
chases.
did not make the movie.
I agree,
Okay.
but I know you liked it.
Yeah.
When I saw him, I was like, all right, Joe's in.
Yeah.
Here's a guy setting stuff on fire. Joe's in.
Yeah.
All right, here's a guy shooting some stuff up. Joe's in.
Kind of interesting. Yeah, the guy who's in Walking Dead. Do you know his name?
Yeah. Let me pull that.
But
up.
his whole role in the movie, he's basically playing in a silent film because it's all flashback with no audio. So you see them, he and his little brother Shia LaBeouf, hanging out, talking, laughing.
Oh, that's the same
But
guy
it-
from The Punisher.
but
Yeah.
it's all,
John Bernthal.
So he did a whole role where you never even hear anything he does.
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
all
that's
in
what-
the past.
Yeah, that's what I found interesting was here is John and everybody that's a Walking Dead fan knows immediately, hey, he's on
Yeah.
Walking Dead. That they didn't, it's like, yeah, here you're here, he's in this movie, but they didn't.
He didn't
What?
carry his weight.
Yeah, they didn't put.
Oh,
a
no,
lot
no,
of-
he didn't have the weight
They didn't
that
put a
he
lot-
could have carried.
Yeah, like they didn't use him as a ringer to draw
Yeah.
audiences to the box office.
Yep, yeah.
He's in a lot of movies.
I liked him in The Accountant with
I
Ben
think I saw
Affleck.
that one.
I've not watched that one.
What are you guys watching, man? You're watching Howard the Duck. That's the problem. I gotta tell you, boys,
You guys
step
wanna-
up your movie game. That's all I'm saying.
You guys want to hear my pick? for
Hold
next week?
on, let's get forward. I didn't give my rating yet. You're trying to skip by my ratings.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm not trying to skip.
Yeah, we're not giving any.
All right, so you did large bucket, right?
Yeah,
Or is that
that's
your
his
dad?
dad.
All
That's
right,
his
so what
dad.
was your rating, Justin?
Large as well. It could definitely inch its way up to mop bucket, but I'm going to go large as well.
All right.
Large popcorn. Overflowing large for me.
Okay, I'm going to do the same. I would say mop bucket if it wasn't for the throwing Jake the Snake out of the ring so implausible. It'd have been a mop bucket for sure. But when that hit, I was just kind of like, man, why? This could have been a home run grand slam, but you
Right.
pulled that one out.
Right.
But so I would say, just you know what? I'm going to go mop bucket
All right.
because
Good,
I'm
good,
going to make
good.
my own category of overflowing mop bucket for something that just doesn't have any flaws. But the one flaw is going to keep it from just being an absolute knockout grand slam, and that's the Jake the Snake getting thrown out of the wrestling
So
ring.
mop bucket, but maybe somebody got a little handful out of it.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Just
Now,
a-
full
just a little.
disclosure. It was not a knock against Jake the Snake's performance. It was just a choice of
Yeah, how that scene played out.
of how.
Oh, that-
he-
I thought he
That's
did
another-
great. I
Oh,
thought he
yeah.
was awesome. He played the
This-
role of a scoundrel that could give two craps less
yeah.
about this
Mean
kid with
guy.
Down syndrome and whatever his fantasy playing out was. He's like, hey, dude, you get no I didn't promise anything.
Yeah, he did an interview for the movie, and he said it was a very hard role for him to play in this movie. He's played a bad guy forever
Yeah.
as a wrestler, but in this role, he fell in such love with Zack
Mhm.
that became such good friends with him. He said it was so hard that when they said action, for him to be just such a jerk and a butthole
Yeah.
to
Well, he did it
Zack.
well. He
Yeah.
played it well.
He said it was so hard. He said as soon as they said cut, that he won't ever apologize. Like, Zack, I'm sorry.
You know, it's funny when they're riding in the
don't wanna
car.
do this.
Yeah.
He's sitting in the middle between
They
Shia
show a
LaBeouf
shot of
and
just his face where
and
he's-
Dakota, and he's just sitting there. He's impassive. He's just like, "Yep, I'm riding in the car, and my head's sticking up
Yeah,
like
he
2 feet above the window."
Got some laughs just by being
Yeah.
deadpan, just a
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
grumpy guy.
He's just like, "I can't believe I'm here. I'm just gonna stare straight ahead and take the wind straight to the face."
Another thing, Zach was so excited about being a wrestler, and then you get to the day of where there's this backyard wrestling thing, and the scene opens up with some guy just getting hit in the face with a chair.
Yeah, and
they
then you
look
can
at
see he's
Zach's
like,
face, and he's just like, "What am I got?"
Yeah.
And this isn't anything of what I signed up for.
Yeah. So Joe, what's your take?
Guys, I'm with Dave on this one. The distance of Jake being thrown out of the ring, I had a little issue with, but other than that, great story, great cast, full on mop bucket, no questions asked.
Nice. Okay. So overflowing large and 2 mop buckets.
Yep.
Good deal.
Yep.
All right. Well, Justin, on with your
This
pick.
might be one of our highest rated ones. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, by
It was a
far.
good choice. Good choice. So Joe, you did good. You redeemed yourself.
Well, thank you.
We're going sci-fi next week.
Ooh.
I Am Mother.
I am
What?
mother.
I Am Mother. 2019 sci-fi mystery and thriller starring Hilary Swank.
Now, I like Hilary Swank. You guys seen $1 Million Baby?
No.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's a good one.
Yep. Don't ask me how I came up with this. It's just one of those.
Well, I'm
things
going to
that
ask
caught
you,
my-
how
caught
did
my-
you come up with this?
Just a list of best movies on Netflix, and
It's an Australian science film.
just one.
We're going back to Australia with Mad Max.
Yep.
So Mad Max
I
drew you
tied it
in,
all
huh?
in, Yep.
Mad Max drew you in, huh?
Okay.
And it just has some good ratings. Seems like people liked it. So.
Okay, Justin, I'm going to call you out on this.
Yep.
Have you viewed this movie before?
Nope.
Now, all right, Dave. So, side conversation
Okay.
has Justin, because remember, Justin got us on Mad Max. Has Justin actually seen this and is claiming, no, I've not seen it until he hears our reviews from it, or has he truly not seen it?
I'm going to believe him say he hasn't seen it.
Because Justin hasn't steered us wrong. Has not steered us wrong yet. Other than Mad Max is a little
Yeah.
hiccup in the road.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Just a blip.
But after Howard the Duck, Justin's been very cautious on his pickings, and this pick and his last pick was
Yeah, he's playing it
guys-
safe.
Yeah, he's being safe. He's like, guys, I've not seen it, so he's safety netting himself, going,
Yep.
if this blows up as a stinker, full disclosure, I've not seen this before, quote unquote, I've not seen this before.
Yeah, it's between this one and then there's one with Natalie Portman as well, another sci-fi one. But I don't know. I think I like Swank a little bit better than Portman. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are.
Man, I can't believe you guys haven't seen $1 Million Baby.
Oh, I have.
It's a Clint. Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Clint
Long
Eastwood.
time ago.
It's funny that you say that. I was cleaning out stuff for the house over the weekend, and I ran across, and I was going through all these old VHS tapes that my granny had. And would you believe that one of those was $1 Million Baby?
Really?
VHS.
Yeah,
You need to watch it, Joe. It's a very heartfelt film. Clint Eastwood is probably my favorite one of his.
Well, that makes sense because my granny was a huge Clint Eastwood fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Peanut Butter Falcon deserves all the praise we're giving it. It deserves to be our highest rated one so far. I think.
Oh yeah, easy.
So unique. I mean, the whole story is just.
Have you guys seen Troop Zero?
Nope.
No.
Oh man, that's a good one too. There's a lot of good movies out there.
So I'm anxious to see.
Tweet at us. Send us recommendations.
I agree with that, you know.
A friend of mine, Bobby Nichols, Bobby, I apologize on your last name for butchering it. He sent us a list. It was mostly horror flicks. Bobby's a friend of the horror movies, and we discussed a couple episodes ago some of the picks he has. So
Yeah,
we have some.
I hadn't heard of like 90% of the ones on his list.
Yeah, Bobby's a fan of the horror flicks, and he makes no bones about it. He prefers that genre of movie, which is fine. And some of them I've actually have heard of, like Tremors. I've heard of it, but some of them I'm like you, Justin. Some of them I haven't heard of, but doesn't mean that they aren't good.
Yeah.
All right, sci-fi thriller. Going into a different cadre here.
So this is going to be interesting, guys.
Okay. Justin could get skunked out of the group.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you're playing it safe though, pulling out a newer movie. I mean, come on.
Mhm.
I was going to say, could this be the movie that pegs below Howard the Duck.
Doubtful. That would be near impossible. Especially nowadays. Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed rewatching Peanut Butter Falcon too. You know, sometimes
I did too.
I don't know if I want to, if I'm looking forward to rewatching something, but it was just as good the second time for me.
Yeah, I watched it once before, and then when I told Cena that was going to be my pick, she was all excited because she loved that movie. And
Yep.
And it's actually a movie she's recommended to family members, saying you
Yeah.
have to watch this. It's a great movie. So
Nice.
I figured I had a good pick whenever she was on board.
Yeah.
I'm
Keep
glad
your eye out for Zach, and if he does another movie.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start
watch
thinking
it.
about my pick. Man,
Yep.
I got a week.
Yep.
Okay.
You gotta. What sort of theme you thinking? You have any sort of?
I have no idea.
Because we did some music.
Yeah, I did Begin
Feel
Again
Good,
with, and that was really just because of Mark
Uh,
Ruffalo.
Animal House. That was a classic.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to go from here. I like older 80 movies, so I'm
Western.
going to go back through my 80 movies first.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, I like $1 Million Baby, and the Troop Zero is pretty daggone good. It's a newer movie.
That honestly, guys, this project has been the most fun project I've done
Yeah.
because I enjoy watching movies, and it's actually helped broaden my horizon
Yeah.
on movies. And I actually look forward, and I've held myself back from actually texting you guys like, "Okay, guys, what's your next?" two, three picks or whatever, to get a queue build up, because it's like one movie a week for me is not enough. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll watch this one, but I want
Yeah,
to
want
know
more?
whose pick is next, so I can go ahead and be ahead of the ball game and watch it. But
Well, I don't watch TV. I don't know if anybody knows this out there, but I don't watch TV anymore. I don't have any TV. But once a week, I'm watching a movie on my laptop, and that's enough. That's enough for me. It satisfies my urge to watch a movie. So
It
yeah,
makes you,
been good.
I think it makes you think about the movie a lot more, and when you're watching it, you're not like sitting taking notes at every single scene, but you are you got to start preparing yourself and thinking, okay, what are some bigger themes here, and what am I going to talk about?
Yeah,
I think it helps get a little bit more out of the movie.
I agree. It's definitely increased my focus when watching a movie.
Yeah.
yes, I agree wholeheartedly, because I have a very short attention span, so it's actually caused me to actually sit and pay attention to the movie other than do 20 other things while the movie's playing.
Yeah, can be focused and get away from technology, because I put my phone away and I just sit and watch the movie for
Right.
itself, because as you said, Justin, I'm kind of taking mental notes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. Well, Justin, take us out of here, man.
I'm going to pass it to Joe.
All
He's
right.
taking it.
Joe, take us out of here then.
So for all of our reviews and videos, visit our website at beentherewatchthat.com. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter at BTWT Be sure to subscribe to the podcast at Been There, Watch That. We're on all the major platforms, hosted by Anchor.fm. And special shout out to our Australian fans. We see you guys are listening to our podcast. We greatly appreciate it. So shout out to our Australian fans as well as our fans here in America.
Sorry for being rough on Mad Max. But
Yeah. Had nothing to do with you all. It's just the movie
you're
itself.
great people.
So be sure to follow us, like I said, online, beentherewatchthat.com, and listen to the subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. Been There, Watch That on that, and hosted by Anchor.fm.
All right. Awesome job as always, gentlemen. We'll be back next week with, what was the movie?
I Am Mother.
I Am Mother. All right. Sci-fi thriller. Justin's pick.
Yep.
So if it tanks, keep that in mind.
Keep
Justin's
that in
pick. All right. Well, everybody have a great week. We'll be back with more.